was pretty stressful back there.
Yeah.
So I got that stressed cotton mouth. All right. I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
Just your name and how to spell it.
CJ Grisham. That's C with a K and an R. No, I'm just kidding. CJ Grisham. Grisham.
Awesome, thank you. And you're a friend of Mason Yancey, is that correct?
I am still a friend of his because we're going to be back together again. Raising hell in heaven like we do in Texas.
And I wanted to start just by asking you about what happened upstairs.
Well, you know, I went to the bathroom. I'm a gun rights activist, but I also happen to be a retired federal agent from the Army. And so I went to the bathroom, no problem. I had somebody watch my stuff, hold my phone. As I was coming back in, I recognized one of the chief deputies, Driscoll. And so we shook hands and had pleasantries, and then he says, oh, what are you doing today? I was like, I'm just in a meeting. He says, oh, are you packing? I said, of course, I pack everywhere. You know that, Chief. He says, well, you're not going back in there then. And he started this attitude like, well, yeah, I am. I'm not breaking any laws. So I started to walk in. Of course, he grabbed me, and then that's where it started. You know, once you touch me, and you have no authority to touch me, so of course I started, get your fucking hands off me, kind of thing. And then all the other officers started swarming around, and they're literally body checking me and forcing me to leave and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just not the kind of guy you can push around. So one thing led to another. It escalated. Next thing I know, I'm in handcuffs.
And I saw them bring you back.
Yes.
So you're not arrested.
Nope.
No.
Because I wasn't breaking any laws.
Yeah.
So under Penal Code 4615, it's a non-applicability statute. It's the same law that allows police officers to carry in courtrooms, judges, district attorneys, and retired law enforcement officers. And as long as you've got the retired law enforcement officer credentials, you got to have two documents under the law. Well, not only does Texas law exempt you if you're under these categories, but it also exempts you if you meet the U.S. Code retired law enforcement officer. And so I fall under the U.S. Code section. Well, what TCOL, which is the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, is doing is trying to tell these people here that apparently my valid license is not a valid license because it's not TCOL. And so it makes no sense because either I'm licensed or I fraudulently created this document, which I didn't do. And I have to recertify every year. I've got my certification every year. So I'm not one of these guys that just sits there and says, oh, okay, violate my rights, and I walk away. I demand, they expect us to follow the law, I expect them to follow the law. And they can't create rules that are more strict than state law. So this is what happens when you stand up for your rights. If you stand up for your rights, the people in Tyrant County are gonna slap you down. The law enforcement here in Tyrant County, if you dare say something that you're not allowed to say, or you don't do exactly what you're told to do and obey your masters, this is what happens. You get slapped in handcuffs, you get threatened with arrest, you get a bunch of cops talking down to you. Oh, it's not a real license, you're not a real law enforcement officer. Well, go fuck yourself.
And so when they brought you back, what was that conversation back there?
That we were having back there?
Yeah, when they brought you to the back rooms.
Oh, so when they brought me back, they were trying to get a hold of TCOL.
Yeah.
And because they're saying, well, TCOL says that you're, I said, well, they say you're not really a licensed peace officer. I said, I know I'm not a licensed peace officer, I'm a retired federal agent. And TCOL doesn't get to decide what DOD says or what, heck, even male people investigators get these things. As long as you've got arrest authority and all that kind of stuff. So they were back there. I was trying to explain to them. I told the sheriff, I said, Sheriff, you had better read 4615 before you go any further on this, because all of you, and you're just standing there. So you're corrupt in with this if you don't do anything about it. So I think what they finally did was they did the right thing. They read up on the law. Then they called TCOL, and they're using the excuse that, well, TCOL said this. Well, I don't give a shit what TCOL says. TCOL doesn't run the DOD. And so they use that as their excuse to, oh, our bad. So, because they're trying to say I'm not TCOL licensed. Well, that's not what 4615 says. It says TCOL licensed, or you meet 18 USC 926C standards. Or 920, whatever it is. 16, it's 18 USC.
Gotcha. So basically you were saying I am allowed to carry under statute, you're just not looking at this other part of it.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
And I'll just kind of show you, when you're retired law enforcement, every agency in the country has different sort of standards.
Yeah.
But in order to fall under TCOL exemption, you have to have your retired law enforcement license and your current qualification for the year. And every year you've got to requalify. These are the only 2 documents I need. It says right here, qualified DOD law enforcement officer, retired. So for them to say, no, you're not exactly what it says in that, I said, well, then arrest me for fraud. Arrest me for falsifying a government document. If you truly are going through these steps right here, where you've got 10 cops arresting me for nothing, and then they tried to say it was unlawful carry of a weapon, but they don't have the proper signage up. So I said, even if I didn't have this, I could carry in there because you don't have the proper signage up. So it's just, Tyrant County doesn't know the law. They made that very clear when I was back there talking to them, because they're saying that, oh, any open meeting you can't carry into. And I said, well, you better read 4603 because you have to post signage. So anyway, that's what the conversation was back there.
Gotcha. And I wanted to ask you too, the first gentleman who was arrested, is that Charles Hermes, do you know?
No, someone told me it was Manuel Mata.
Oh, he was also arrested. And then
there were 2 people? Oh, the first guy that was taken out? I don't know who that was.
Okay, gotcha. We were kind of wondering too, because we heard that he was a UTA professor named Charles Hermes, and so I was just curious if you had known him, so we can get confirmation of that. But
he looked familiar, but I don't think, and I'm an activist, so I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we probably connected somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to check. And then, yeah, I mean, this kind of took over the conversation, but I did want to ask you specifically about what brought you here today, because I know you're here for your friend.
Yeah.
If you could just tell me a little bit about
and
that.
that's what really annoys me is that, I came here to advocate for change. It's not just about my friend. I brought a list of dead people that have died in the jails. And I think that the sheriff got up there and he's lying, because I also have clients right now. I have a client who's in the Tyrant County jail. I made very clear he's a heart patient and he's going to be getting a heart transplant within the year. So he's on a lot of medications. And I told the jailers, here's all of his medications. This is very serious. You need to, all the way up the line, you need to let them know that he's got to have these medications or he's going to die. What do you know? Within 48 hours, he's in JPS custody. I've got another client who was in JPS custody. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it's the same guy. The whole reason that he got put in jail was because JPS doesn't know what they're doing. And that's why I really wanted to confront these medical professionals and these mental health people, because they're making things worse than JPS, not better. These people go in there, and if they've got mental problems, they make them worse. And with my client, it was the same way. And these JPS people allowed, knowing that my client is below average IQ, he's got a heart issue that affected his brain, which means he thinks at a lower age than he is. And he's got anxiety and all these other things, but yet JPS allows in these group therapy meetings for people to gang up on him. He's the youngest one in there, and then when he says fuck off because he gets tired of being ganged up on, suddenly he's the problem. So JPS is creating these issues, and I'm not surprised that people are dying. I wasn't even going to attack the sheriff because I think it's a JPS issue. I think JPS is the one that's killing these people, and there's no oversight.
And is there anything else that you wanted to ask? Is there anything else that you wanted to add that you want people to know?
I think what this commissioner's court needs to understand is I'm about as right-wing as they come, right? But I don't care about Republicans or Democrats. But if the right doesn't start recognizing the problems that we have in this jail, the problems that we have with law enforcement in Texas, and get them in check, and the fact that what happened to me just happened to me, knowing I'm an attorney, that I know what the laws are, I'm not breaking any laws, knowing that I've spoken to the chief face to face, if they're doing that to me, what else are they doing out there? And I'm telling Republicans need to stop this blind ass kissing of law enforcement and start holding them accountable. Now, I'm a law and order guy, but it doesn't make you all powerful, and being a cop doesn't give, it's like they were asking me about this badge. Oh, what's this badge for? I said, well, what's it say? I said, it says shiny badges don't grant extra rights. Oh, so you're holding yourself out as law enforcement? I said, no. Does that say law enforcement anywhere on there? Well, don't you think people think? Well, I don't care what people think. I'm not telling them that I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm saying shiny badges don't grant extra rights. I'm an activist. So I think this commissioner's court needs to stop with the partisan politics, because a life that is dead doesn't care what party you're in. And this is affecting Republicans, it's affecting Democrats. And again, I'm about as right-wing as you can get. And this is what happens to me. So.
Well, is there a good way, if I have any further questions for you, to keep in touch with you?